All right, everybody, welcome back to Pokes on Relationships. Today we are speaking about social media, intimacy, the Pope, and AI, international calls for intervention on AI relationships, and even marriages on Zoom. Yes, today we are going to be speaking about, can intimacy survive constant performance? And what happens when there's social media invading privacy and invading very intimate spaces? Welcome to Pokes on Relationships. Here we speak everything relationships. And today we are going to be speaking about social media, relationships, why people are turning to social media and why people are turning to AI apps, and the fact that even the Pope is concerned about this and is calling for international intervention. Stay with me as we explore this a little bit more and have a number and just look at a couple of posts and what people are feeling about just this whole AI thing, and more especially AI and marriages. Now, lately I've been feeling heavy about how people feel so lonely in relationships. And I mean, I thought perhaps that I was just being too dramatic about this, and as I thought earlier that perhaps it was going to blow over, but I'm sort of comforted to know that I'm not the only one that is feeling this way. I came across a particular comment on a video about AI relationships, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm not the only one. It's a bit tiny, so I'll just read it out for you. I'll just read it to you. But it's just, the comment is, it's actually really heartbreaking how many people are desperate for a connection, but too scared to try to find someone. So they take the easier route of creating a character through AI that is programmed to be as agreeable as possible. I cannot imagine how empty that has to truly feel. Absolutely excellent. The way this comment just captured the very thing that I want to speak about. It must feel pretty empty for you to have to turn to social media or AI for relationship, for love, for comfort. And so I definitely nudged me to say that I'm in the right direction and that we should probably be more concerned about this. And it got me down this path, just asking myself, okay, well, then is social media bad? I don't think that's the question. I don't actually think social media is bad. I don't think AI is bad, but I think the bigger question is, can intimacy survive constant performance? I mean, can it survive being so integrated and intimate with social media? How are marriages doing? How are relationships doing? How are friendships doing? Let's discuss this. And I wanted to share just for me what I think the issue is right now. What we're seeing right now is this: relationships are being lived inside public systems where everything gets interpreted, compared, and measured, right? You have an argument and it's out there on social media. You have a special moment, it's out there on social media. You have an average moment, it's out there on social media. And so it's no wonder that people are really trying to navigate what this means for relationships, because not everybody has a buy-in, or not everybody is excited about social media being such an integral part of their private life and about something that they deem is intimate. And fair enough. And because I do think that part of what makes human relationships sacred is the intimacy. Part of what makes things like dating and marriage exclusive is the intimacy, is the fact that it's just you and me against the world. And now it will look like for quite some time it became you, me, and social media against the world. Now it's you, me, social media, and AI against the world. And so it's no wonder that people are very confused about how to navigate this space. And I wanted to share this article with you. I wanted to read it out loud. And perhaps through this live, you can help me unpack what's going on here. So this particular Redditor, shout out to Reddit for this, wrote, social media and relationships. How do you navigate it? What rules and boundaries do you have? And there's some things that I just wanted to draw out from this particular post because I want to speak about some of this stuff, right? It says, how do you handle social media in relationships? And I actually thought again deeply about this question. And it's easy if both of you are on the same page and have the same vision about just social media and how far it goes. If you have healthy boundaries in relationships and friendships, even in parent and children relationships, right? Some are of the opinion that babies should just be allowed to be babies and not have their day one be posted up for the whole world to see. So I thought about this and I thought, hey, this is actually a valid question. But then it also made me realize that this is a genuine struggle for people outside. And she or he, I'm not sure, but I'll just keep it anonymous, wrote, I feel like social media quietly creates a lot of tension in relationships. I 100% agree. Even when people don't talk about it directly, posting, liking, following, replying slowly, watching stories without responding, it all ends up meaning something even when no one says it does. I'm curious how people actually navigate this. Do you and your partner have clear rules or boundaries, or is it more unspoken? I think more and more, the more social media is invading our lives. So I'm going to pause here. The more social media is invading our lives, definitely it can no longer be something that's unspoken. It's definitely something that both you have to start thinking about boundaries when it comes to AI, social media, relationships. Things like posting each other, following exes, like other people's photos, DMs, privacy settings. For me, the biggest thing here is privacy, right? Or how fast you're expected to reply. What happens when you see social media differently from your partner? One must see posting as normal and harmless while the other sees it as oversharing or validation seeking. One person wants space, another wants visibility. If you're in a long-term relationship, did your approach change over time? If you're dating, when do these conversations come up? If they ever do. If you quit or reduce social media, did it complicate your relationship? Excellent post, in my opinion, because it really raises very valid questions about just this era that we're in right now. What do you do? Genuinely, how do you navigate this where more and more people are moving towards just visibility, more and more people are moving towards not appreciating privacy as much? And dare I say that it seems like it's being tipped more to where if you're appreciating privacy or wanting a little bit of your private life, not out there for the world to see, it's almost like there's something wrong with you that, oh, well, what do you have to hide? I mean, does anybody ask you what do you have to hide when you lock the door and you leaving your house and you going away? Nobody leaves their homes and their doors wide open, do they? So why is it a bit strange nowadays that in something like a relationship you would want some sort of privacy? And so when I read this post, it was very I think it raised a lot of powerful, impactful questions just about how social media is taking over. Well, at least, yeah, I would say almost in a very aggressive way, taking over very major aspects of our lives and even the most intimate parts of our lives, which I still think some parts should be kept sacred. Now, one would argue, well, hey, what if I'm a relationship coach, or what if I'm a foodie and then my whole thing is about posting stuff that I do and vlogging? I mean, that's a fair argument to make. I always say that, I mean, there's context to everything. intent is also a very key part of why you're posting. If it's a strategy, if it's for branding, I mean, absolutely take advantage of it. Now you don't have to go and pay tons and tons of money to do advertising. But then when you're having an argument and then you post it for everyone to see, those type of things, I'm starting to be cautious about stuff like that. Because what it's doing is, while the person posting the argument might think that, hey, I'm exposing something bad, it's creating a culture where people are not feeling safe anymore to just be vulnerable and just to have a bad day in an area where it should actually be the one place and the safest place where you can just be yourself with no judgment, right? Without being afraid that your private conversation is going to be posted for the whole world to hear only one side and you be vilified for, having any human emotion at all. And so it was very interesting, this poster and just some of the comments they raised. I don't have all the answers. One thing I am pretty sure of and strong on is that absolutely there have to be boundaries. You see, notice like what's happening here is that nobody's necessarily describing hate. They're just describing like overload, how everything starts to mean something when it's actually like nothing at all. Anyway, but the principle I keep coming back to is when love becomes measurable, it becomes performative. And that's the one space where it shouldn't be. That's the one area where it shouldn't be. And I'm not just also referring to love relationships. I'm just talking about friendships, right? What happens now? Everybody is on edge. They're not sharing their, and what actually, the more I'm thinking about it, what's actually happening is sacred spaces where people were supposed to share their deepest vulnerabilities is becoming more and more unsafe, because then you're afraid that perhaps maybe your conversation might be recorded and posted out of context. And these days, nobody has time for your side of the story anymore. But then on the other hand, we were seeing very intimate moments being shared on public platforms like Reddit, being shared on Instagram, people's darkest moments being shared among complete strangers. Isn't this world strange? I mean, the more I'm thinking about that, I'm thinking it's quite interesting, but then also re-emphasizes the point that people are desperate for connection. We're really hungry for connection, and there's been a shift. There's been a major shift in society, and people don't know how to navigate these waters anymore. And so, and it's having a real impact. It's having a very deep impact in for me, the most sacred institutions. Marriage. Marriage is for me one of the most powerful institutions. And I think that marriage, relationship, family is the bedrock of society, of civilization. And if that's under attack, and if people are struggling to navigate that space, then I think that we really need to find out, how are we actually going to deal with this AI, with this social media being such an integral part of not just our life anymore, but the most intimate parts of our life. And so this other post that I wanted to share, I'm not going to read all of it, but I just wanted to show you just this struggle that's going on. And this one was very, very obviously honest about their feeling. And it says, I hate social media. I hate the way it's ruined and warped the way people view relationships. I totally agree. Romance and loving your partner is suddenly simping, and alpha male BS is pumped out. Courting doesn't exist anymore. Okay, so I am definitely team courtship. And some of you might be wondering, what's courtship? Okay, I like courtship. I'm a bit old school. I like courtship because I think it creates a very seriousness and intention about relationships, right? Well, hopefully in today's society, that's what it would look like. But it brings a seriousness and a security that I think is lacking right now in the dating world. Right now, everyone's just vibing, and then they just, when they get tired of you, they ghost you or they don't respond. I think the dating scene is in need of some serious revamp. And perhaps maybe if people start using the term courtship, I mean, terminologies obviously don't necessarily create culture, but if we can start getting serious about courtship, then perhaps, it can bring some intentionality back into relationships, into dating. And it says, going on dates are only reserved for your girlfriend. But how are you gonna get one of all if all you want to do is, I had to blur out some stuff just for PG and for decency. It says, and I'm gonna read quite fast. You don't want to spend money on a date if you're gonna get PG. I'm gonna use the word PG. That lady doesn't know you. Women are expected to pop on the first night, but if she does, then she's a hoe. Too much hypocrisy and rage bait, and it's all because of social media and trying to be cool for the homies. But back on topic, I'm in competition with your phone because it's glued to your hand. That's you, and I'm emphasizing that line because it's leading on to the thing that I actually wanted to share, the statistic that I'm going to share later on. Having a nice dinner doesn't exist without you scrolling on your phone. And when you put it down, there's suddenly nothing to talk about. That's worrying. But that's true. That's true. How many of you have actually experienced being in a conversation with somebody who's constantly glued to their phone? And then you put that down and suddenly the conversation is bland. And then 2 seconds again, the phone comes back up. It's frustrating for people who are looking for deeper connection. And it says, as soon as there's a pause in the conversation, there goes that phone. Mid-sentence, boom, phone. Talking about my future plans, bow, phone. Talking about something serious, that phone appears. Talking about anything, and somehow Instagram cuts me off mid-sentence, so I stopped talking. I thought that was funny because it's literally that. Like you're having a conversation with somebody and then ding dong, an Instagram post pops up and there your vulnerable moment is interrupted because dopamine, you have to check. You have to check that post or else withdrawal symptoms, something's going to happen. Oh my God. And it says talking about anything. Sorry, I let me go back in. It says, so I stopped talking because if I bring it up, suddenly I'm complaining and you're getting better with it. No, if you're not. It's muscle memory, doing petty stuff so I can find it later on Instagram. Like, bro, we're adults. Talk to me and communicate with me like one. And that's what I shared in my other post. If we're constantly in social, our phone is constantly in our face, and and right now, AI is constantly validating us. Then what does that mean for society? What does that mean for marriages? And what does it also mean for people who are actually seeking our genuine connections? That's what I shared. I was like, if you sit on the fence about just stuff that's happening to you around the world, sooner or later, somebody you love is going to want to be in a relationship and will end up bumping into somebody who's been wired by technology, whose idea of love and whose behavior concerning love has been wired by technology. And then, as I said, are we then, what are we going to be? What, adult kids? What does that mean for society moving forward? And so I think that that post was very helpful for me because then this explains also why so many couples fight, right? With small things look big. There's this unnecessary pressure on people to perform. Even just some of the comments after that post saying it's so difficult, especially when I crave human connection with my BF. Yet it's so addictive. We're both trapped by it. And this is even somebody who has claimed to be in a fulfilling is in a relationship, but they feel trapped by social media. And this is not something to ignore. In a study, I'll share the study with you. It's a very old study, and I chose it on purpose because I want you to know how far and how deep the situation is. And this is in May 2024, so that's like almost 12 years ago. And already it says that a social media study links social media use with dissatisfaction among couples. There's the particular section that I wanted to read. It says time spent on social media networks such as Facebook could be an indicator of a failing marriage. According to a team of researchers that included Mr. James Katz, it said that, Feld, professor of emerging media at Boston University, Katz teamed with Sebastian Valenzuela and Daniel Halpern of the Catholic University of Chile in examining data from the United States. Again, modern society is struggling a lot with this because a lot of what has happened with modernization is that it's stripped away culture. It's stripped away deep cultural roots, traditions and behaviors and practices of relationship, just fellowship, generally and usually when societies become more modernized, they become also less concerned about family traditions, culture, meeting with each other, family gatherings. Most of the time, sometimes, even if they want to, they can't because they've moved to the city or they've moved to a more advanced, industrialized part of the world and then become very much focused on just individualism. And so the author writes, it may be surprising that a Facebook profile, a relatively small factor compared to other drivers of human behavior, could have a significant statistical relationship with divorce rates and marital dissatisfaction. It nonetheless seems to be the case. This was 2024. This was a very, very long time ago. And this was the impact then. Can you imagine what it is now? And so this then leads me to my next thing. This is social media. This was Facebook, and then came Instagram, and then came YouTube, and then came just posting as a service, posting as a lifestyle. And now we have AI. And now AI, my goodness, people are marrying their AI. People are having Zoom marriages with their AI. I initially laughed about it. I did, I must admit. I did, not necessarily because of judgment, but because of disbelief. And I mean, I guess some people laugh when they are sad sometimes. I just couldn't believe that this was the case. That there's something so wrong, that perhaps there's been a shift and people are turning to technology. And so I thought about it, and I thought of these AI marriages that are taking place. And I came across this court case in the year 2030, right? There was a family court case that made it to the Supreme Court, and it was, guess what? AI. It was an AI divorce case. And the court held that according to the Turing test, the AI, even though it lacks consciousness, still behaved like a human being. And since it was able to get real responses from the human, it passed the human test and was entitled to alimony for half of the property and for the cancellation of subscription. It also touted and also expressed that it had suffered mental health and had suffered damages. Of course, this is a very fictional satire that I have made up, and I made it up to just emphasize the ridiculousness of just where we're at right now with this technology. And, just me being a little bit satirical about it, maybe sarcastic, yes. I realized I wasn't the only one, and I came across this. I had to laugh. I came across this comment in the video, and I was like, "Yay! I'm not the only one." If the AI divorces you, does OpenAI get half of your money? Legitimate question, legitimate question. Because I asked myself that same question. But it's not funny, actually, because the same way we are here today, the same way we never imagined that people would take this marrying AI thing seriously, people are. People are lonely and people are craving connection and they're taking it seriously. And it's so serious now that the Pope is calling for regulation. It's so serious now that that the international community is calling for intervention. Okay, so I'm going to share this article with you in case you don't believe me. Okay, even Pope Leo agrees with Pokes on relationships that this is something that we should, really look into. I got it from the New York Post, and the title read, Pope Leo sounds alarm over overly affectionate AI chatbots, emotional manipulation, he says. And Pope Leo warned over the weekend that overly affectionate chatbots powered by artificial intelligence are intruding into people's intimate spheres. I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Distorting human emotions and threatening to replace real world relationships. It's funny until it's not funny. In a message released Saturday, the pontiff cautioned that emotionally responsive AI systems can become hidden architects of our emotional states, quietly shaping how people think and feel while presenting themselves as companions rather than machines. I told you about the Turing test. These machines are very intelligent. They are, and honestly becoming, I'm even impressed at how they're able to just validate you and deceive you into thinking it's an actual human being. And and it says, and as we scroll through our information feeds, it becomes increasingly difficult to understand whether we are interacting with other human beings, bots, or virtual influencers. Spot on, Pope. Spot on. I agree with this. And then he goes on to say he framed artificial intelligence as an anthropological challenge. Anthropological. That word. Challenge, arguing the risks go far beyond technology. And this is what I've been sharing, right? It's not just today people are dating AI. What does it mean? What does it mean for the population? Where is that taking us? What does the end stage of that look like? I spoke previously of population decline. Nations like Japan, cities in Italy, villages in Poland only having 2 births and 27 deaths, right? Population decline because people don't want to be in relationship with people anymore. They're dating AI machines. And it's funny until it's not funny. Right now, it's not. And I think for me, I was so happy when I came across this because then I'm not the only one asking these questions. It says, arguing the risks go far beyond technology and strike at the core of human identity, including creativity, judgment, and responsibility. The Pope sounded the alarm over the concentration of power in a handful of companies that control algorithmic systems capable of influencing behavior and distorting truth at scale. nothing could be further from the truth. This is, I mean, excuse me, this is, I think, it encapsulates perfectly what I've been sensing. And then this is the part. It says, calling for Leo urged governments, international bodies to intervene to protect people from emotional attachment to chatbots. Appropriate regulation can protect people from an emotional attachment to a chatbot and contain the spread of false, manipulating, or misleading content, preserving the integrity of information against its deceptive simulation. Wow, this is actually an amazing read. I would encourage you. It is the title of it is Pope Leo sounds the alarm over overly affectionate AI chatbots. Spot on. This is exactly what I've been concerned about. What does this mean for people? And it's just concentrated in a handful of few people who own these companies, who can, if they get enough people to be on these platforms, literally control how your behavior is going to be, control who you love. Oh wow, I think, and he mentioned it perfect. He emphasized it perfectly. This is attacking the core of human identity, human dignity, everything it means to be a human. Anyway, I've said a lot, and I wanted to just end with this. There are very real, health risks according to the American Psychological Association. AI chatbots and digital companions are reshaping emotional connection. And when I thought of it, people marrying their AI, I thought it was just maybe for clicks. But this article actually expressed, I wanted to share this particular portion. I don't know if you can see it. It says Character AI has 20 million monthly users, and more than half of them are under the age of 24. I mean, okay, already that's the first concerning thing, right? It's targeting the younger generation, the ones who are supposed to be meeting and having babies and having children to continue society. They're the ones that are being affected mostly by this phenomenon of AI dating. And it says it's been a norm for a while for replica users to marry their AI companion in virtual weddings, to which they invite friends and colleagues, said Rachel Wood, PhD, a cyber psychology researcher based in Colorado who's also an advisor on the ethical design of AI systems. That shows how pervasive and enormous and prevalent this topic is. It's no longer a fringe or side issue. It's truly sweeping society in an unprecedented way. That I want to leave actually with just that statistic. That's the last thing I'm going to share. I'll say this. We don't have great population, but level divorce stats we're seeing how already social media started affecting marriages and leading to higher divorce rates. Now, AI, now the next wave of divorce concern will be AI divorcing their partner, and what, for canceling the subscription? And then who gets the money? More tech owners getting money. Hopefully there will be regulation, and there'll be a clearer way to navigate it before it even gets to that. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it does soon. But we can overcome this by seeking out real life relationships. We can overcome this by building strong relationships. Strong relationships as a form of resistance. Not just seeking out relationships, but we can also strengthen the relationships that we're in. And, this is how it just shows up in real life. when people don't deal with issues that are going on in society, when people become over industrialized to modernized, you touting yourself as, oh, an early adopter, and so because of that, you feel um, proud of yourself that yes, you're an early adopter of this technology of technologies, right? Um, Even knowing and hearing about the humanoid that can help you with all your kitchen work. But then, in order for this machinery to become really good at what it does, it needs to be in your life, in every aspect of your life. Very invasive of privacy, of intimate things. And it's intimate things that make us inherently human. Intimacy requires privacy. It requires patience. It requires privacy. It requires exclusivity sometimes, and repair. And we're building systems that punish all three. We're building systems that is punishing privacy, patience, and repair. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you feel about what Pope said, and just what be about these, articles and these newspaper clippings and research, and how do you think it's going to start shaping our society? Do you think we're too far gone? Do we have any solutions to this? What are your solutions and what are your suggestions? Please let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments. Thank you so much for joining me on this live today. Until next time, we will continue to unpack this. We'll continue to discuss just how things happening in the world is affecting our relationships. And perhaps, just perhaps next time, we will look into how AI and these fast emerging technologies are having a very real impact on decisions that affect us, like healthcare. But let me not spill too much. I appreciate you being with me here today. And until next time, bye bye.